You guys, aren't watching this because you are attracted to young girls, are you? Starlight, a stage play known by everyone worldwide, and inspired two young girls named Karen Ijo and Hikari Kagura to one day be a part of it. Since then, the two girls have been separated as they have transferred away, but when Hikari Kagura transfers back years later, Karen is overjoyed. Then, one day after school, Karen accidentally witnesses the auditioning process for the Starlight play, but things seem a little odd. A giraffe named Kieran oversees the auditioning process, and whoever loses their pin in a strange battle loses the audition. What exactly is Starlight, and just what will become of Karen and Hikari's friendship? This is Shoujo Kageki Revue Starlight. Revue Starlight is from the studio that brought you the acclaimed anime Made in Abyss and Winter 2019's Shield Hero Kinema Citrus. It is based off the musical of the same name produced by Bushiroad in 2017 and 2018. And speaking of Bushiroad abuses the copyright system here on YouTube, so fuck Bushiroad. The anime is directed by Tomohiro Furukawa, who has worked on anime like Angel Beats and the Fate series as key animation.
スターライトそれは星の光に導かれる女神たちの物語
Revue Starlight is a highly unique story where a lot of it is told through how a musical would tell a story. Have bits of a story spread in between and during multiple ensemble musical performances where you will receive climaxes and showcases of different story arcs and character arcs. To put it simply, this is a musical that's animated. And as a person who has worked on musicals, I can back up that claim pretty much 100%. But I want to stress this, and this is important. This is one of the most unique anime I have ever seen. Now, I have seen Kill La Kill, Evangelion. I've seen a lot of anime that do these kinds of things that Revue is doing. But what makes it unique is that it is very much like a musical, but an anime. And since anime is awesome, when you combine the two, you get what is the most unique experience in anime I have ever witnessed. Now, that is very high praise, so let me bring you back down to earth. Revue Starlight's story may be unique, and it may be a spectacle, but in no way does that mean it is without flaws, which knock it down not just a couple pegs, but several. And while I will discuss a majority of that in the next section where I talk about characters, let's mention some things here that regard the story and why it's just good, and not a masterpiece. The first couple things I have issues with is the pacing and some tone shifts, so let's start with the latter. The tone shifts in this show, what can I say? They are annoying to say the least. The reason they are annoying is because they happen at completely unnecessary times in the anime. An example is the last episode, episode 12, where we are having an awesome scene, but then it cuts to the girls having a party, eating, and just having fun generally. I understand and agree that tone shifts aren't anywhere near as bad as some people would like to say they are. I think tone shifts is what makes anime unique, but that doesn't mean you can just plop them in whenever you want. And this is what this felt like. Not only that, but the pacing is generally not the best in some of these episodes. Episode 11, for example, doesn't give us enough story because the episode before it gives us quite a lot. So episode 11 feels like the red-headed stepchild squished in between 10 and 12, which are amazing episodes.
カレンちゃん起きて時間だよ今日は絶対遅刻できないんでしょカレンちゃんってば
But to continue on with some gripes, the characters were weak and should have been much more prominent and developed than what we were given. In some ways, I feel like the characters took a step back to allow the music and art to shine. While yes, the characters do have some incredible moments in this series, you can't deny they just felt weak in comparison to even the story. And I think this is because Revue had an almost monster of the week feel to it in a small sense of the term. What I mean by that is every week it focused on a different character, and because of that, it did develop a lot of great relationships and characters, but it made some feel incredibly weak. For example, Glasses Girl by episode 3 felt like a jamoke who was only in the spotlight for a cup of coffee. I'm sure this wasn't the intention of the series, but it's just the way it happened. Also, side note, did you notice that Kinema Citrus really likes the Abyss? Anyways, I do like these characters, and I do think this idea of storytelling worked out for them, as I love Nana Daiba, and I think she is an awesome character. It was probably my favorite out of all of them. But when you have one of your characters who is supposed to be at the top of the rankings in the review feel like such a jobber who can't even win a match against Disco Inferno, well, you done something wrong.
青少音楽学園第99期生出席番号1番愛情カレン入ります。
A couple of years back, Kinema Citrus came out with an absolute powerhouse of an anime with Made in Abyss, receiving much acclaim from fans and critics alike. And most of what people liked about it was the beautiful art that showed off a magical and dangerous world. So a couple years later, Revue Starlight has hit, and now we get to see what Kinema Citrus has learned from that home run attempt that was Made in Abyss. Well, to be perfectly blunt with you all, it is consistent with Made in Abyss and does a couple things better. Addressing the latter first, Revue Starlight has these intricate and detailed character designs and backgrounds that Made in Abyss didn't exactly have in the same way. And this is simply because Made in Abyss was a different kind of show that wasn't based off a musical. Revue Starlight has to have this amazing set pieces with their backgrounds and excruciating details, so this shouldn't be too surprising at all. The areas in which it remains consistent is the lighting and special effects. Made in Abyss has incredible scene lighting, and Revue Starlight carries that over, and offers a unique take on Kinema Citrus's already one-of-a-kind lighting.
舞台のセンターポジション0。
As Revue Starlight was airing, there was some news that came out with Kinema Citrus looking to hire staff so they can keep up with the weekly releases at the same quality each week. To say the least, this is not something you'd want to see from one of your favorite studios. So, how has this affected Revue Starlight? Well, it's strange, but in some episodes it's obvious they had to cut frames, and on top of that, they added interlace lines to them, which made some scenes almost impossible to watch without hurting your eyes. But the strangest thing is that simple motions like eye movements and hand movements all the way to characters running were interlaced heavily. I am not sure as to why this was present. It could be high dive or just a production snafu, but as far as I could tell, this seemed like it wasn't isolated to my experience. But while there are issues, Kinema Citrus was able to deliver the most striking and visually impressive animation of the year so far. Every movement has weight to it that the viewer feels. The reviews are impressive, and I guess we should talk about Karen Ijo's impressive transformation sequence. If you haven't seen this sequence, you absolutely need to, even if you have no intentions of watching this anime. The animation in this sequence is absolutely incredible. From the stitching machine, the ever so important pin being made from red hot brass, and of course the swords being smelted. This scene defines what I love so much about Revue Starlight. You can have your fun with the cute anime girls, but just like Jim Ross would say, you know business is about to pick up once you see this sequence. It may be the most iconic and most important thing to come out of this series. But my final note on the animation isn't about Nanachi cosplay. No, sir. It's about the actual meat of the series, which is the reviews. They're typically your standard idea of a fight scene between two characters, like you'd see in, I don't know, something like DVZ, but not really. Like I said earlier, these scenes are really story heavy, but you'd be naive to think these scenes are nothing special outside of the story. From an animation standpoint, these scenes are highly stylized, unique, and extremely well made. Every moment from the characters is so detailed and fluid that I find trouble finding any comparisons for it. Not only that, but as the story progresses, the backgrounds change as well. This is one of the best things about Revue. No background is static. They are a part of the show and the story. This leads to Revue Starlight having the potential of being a highly rewatchable anime time and time again. I'm not saying you'll get something new from it every time, but you will notice things you haven't noticed before, which keeps rewatches crispy fresh, not like the soggy bag of potato chips I have.
あー、バナナちゃんランチ美味しそうたくさんあるからね。
Now, I am not going to come waltzing in and say the dub for this is bad simply because it's just the Japanese dub. I think that way of thinking when it comes to dub is a little close-minded. So I will give you my honest opinions in comparison to the sub, but also talk about the dub standalone. So if you've come to this section to see me bitch and be negative about the dub, this review is not for you. So to start off, comparing the two versions, I don't think there is any clear better version. Now hear me out with this one. While I do believe the Japanese performances are marginally better, I do believe that there is one huge flaw to the sub, and that simply is during the reviews there are two sets of subs you have to read and juggle back and forth. This to me is a major flaw of the sub because I value subs being easy to read, and during the reviews, they are not easy to read. This is where the dub comes in and why I prefer it, but not because of its performances per se. You see, during the reviews, it's just much easier to read the subs while listening to voice acting in your language. This obviously just leads to a much better experience, at least for me, and is why I believe the dub to be the better option. But in terms of dub quality, it cannot be understated how good of a dub this is for Sentai. Usually their dubs are often weak, but Revue is one of the rare Sentai dubs I can recommend. The performances are strong, lines are for the most part delivered believably. I just love the voice actors in this dub. But there is a flaw to this dub, and it's a common problem with Sentai dubs. The casting is weird. Now, I'm not going to say I'm the master at casting anime, as the small amount of casting I have done in my short 23 years isn't compared to the amount of time people working on this anime have probably done. But I will say this, the voice actors for Karen, Nana Daiba, and a couple other minor characters are just not the right voices for the role. That being said, the casting is fine everywhere else, but since these are your main characters, it's a problem if you think it is. Is the dub bad? No, it's a good dub. Is the dub flawed? Of course.
You asked me to get you up, but I can't force you to be awake.
Right.
It's not like you'll have me on wake-up duty forever, you know?
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, let's go.
My hair, wait! Stop! What?
Music is composed by Tatsuya Kato, who has worked on anime like the Fate Khalid series, the Free franchise, and Hanibado, all of which have terrific music. But this series has music that surprised even me initially. Going into this anime, I thought all of the music would be generic, Japanese, flavor of the month kind of stuff you typically see from magical girl anime. But this score is actually some really heavy music. Of course, I'm a huge fan of heavy music, so when I heard a guitar using a wah pedal, a bass using heavy distortion and compression, and the drums tuned down to have more of an impact, well, I was surprised. Now, you're not going to get metal music per se, but what you will get is some hard rocking music with complex tempo changes, syncopated beats from the drums, which makes the music bouncy and unpredictable, and an insane usage of the complex scales and polymeter. This music is awesome, and not only that, but is incredibly important to the most important aspects of the show, Karen's transformation sequence. Nothing is more satisfying than hearing that bass guitar slide down from the low E string to let you know you're about to see some killer animation and hear some catchy rocking music. Revue Starlight started at the beginning of this season as a relative unknown, a possible hit that nobody truly saw coming. What we got wasn't maybe all a hit, but Kinema Citrus proves they're here to stay and produce visually top-tier anime. And I mean it when I say this, Revue is just another stopgap in their growing list of acclaimed anime. The animation, backgrounds, art, designs, music, and score are all incredibly produced, and while the story and the characters lack in many details, it's still one of the best experiences you'll have in the year 2018 in anime. So get out there, watch Revue Starlight, subscribe to High Dive to see it. Even if you don't like these kinds of anime, I guarantee you there will be something there for you in some way. With that being said, did you guys enjoy my review? Did you agree or disagree with it? Did my review help you decide to watch this or not watch this? I want to know everything you're thinking down in the comments below. And while you're down in the comments below, hit the like button, subscribe to never miss a video, and follow me on twitch.tv/SeaTactics. Because every Saturday, starting October the 6th, me, Everything Animated, and Satsuki the Savage will be covering the fall 2018 anime every single week. So if you like that kind of thing, if you like a weekly Saturday podcast live streaming right to you on twitch.tv, go over there, follow me, everything you know. Links are in the description. I'll see you guys later. My name is SeaTactics. Bye-bye.